Are you talking? We have 3 family members here. Hey, well, you could throw Missinelli in there. No, we'll talk. He's been thrown out of the family. Hold on here now. I'm going to tell you here. You know North Jersey? Okay. It's right around there. We had to sit down there to Bada Bing. We sat down. But what really kind of screwed it all up was Farzetta walked in. He had his espresso with him, and we're sitting around drinking. We're drinking shots and stuff, and here he is with his espresso at the Bada Bing. And we're like, wait a minute. So we're just talking kind of like Philly sports. And, you know, I'm kind of partial to the Paisans. That's why I love getting Farzetta on. And we were talking about this playoff game. And now we're going to talk a little more about the playoff game. By the way, like I said, Angelo will be on Monday. We appreciate him very much. And I also appreciate this guy. I love him. He is our friend, Marc Farzetta. He joins us now. How you doing, Paisan?
Let me just confirm. I just want to make sure I don't like any loose ends. I don't like any rumors starting. Howard Eskin, not Italian. Let me just make sure I can confirm.
Really? What gave that away?
He once argued with me when I was making the 7 Fishes and stuff, when I was his producer way back in the day. And he said, he was like, oh, so what do you have in there, genius? And I was like, well, we like to do a stuffed calamari with crab, blah, blah, blah. He goes, whoa, stuffed calamari. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, with crab? He goes, why do you do 2 for 1? I go, because it's delicious. And he goes, no, you can't do that. And I said, no. You can't tell me how to do the 7 Fishes. Thank you very much. End of discussion. Consider yourself educated. Boom. That's the way that went.
Oh, my God. So wait a minute. Then let me ask you then. So we had Marcus Hayes on with us a couple of days ago, and I asked him to comment on it. And Angelo, he's a guy. We're on the air, Mark, and he starts going into this thing at this Chickies and Pete's shit. He starts telling me that they're on the air, and he goes, "Yeah, this is what I was told." Angelo said this. He goes, I'm getting a text message from Jeffrey Lurie to get Brandon Graham out of the off his show on IP. And I'm going, hang on, what? And I'm listening to this. I go, so Jeffrey Lurie is listening to the show and he commanded you to get him off the program? And he goes, yeah, that's why he went after like the sales rep there at IP. And this is not my story. This is Angelo saying this on our show. And I go, okay, so what? He goes, why did they want him off the show? He goes, well, because Brandon Graham was saying that Hurts and A.J. Brown don't have a very good relationship. It's more of a business relationship now, and it's not where it was a couple of years. And they get him off that. And I'm going like, wow. You know, the thing I took away the most was I didn't realize the meddling that the owner and how he has his hand on in everything of that team. I mean, from the jocks to the socks to the guys on the air, no matter where it is. Have you always operated in this environment here with the Eagles being up your ass like that?
It's only happened to me personally 2 times that I can think of where they either got really offended at something I said or really tried messing with me. I remember I had a relationship with Andrea Kramer. I knew her from Sunday Night Football. And she was great because she's from Jersey, and she knows the team really well. It's been on the national stage forever. And she would come on when I was working with Angelo and those guys in the morning. She would come on whenever I asked her. Whenever she was on Sunday Night Football, and I'd see her on the weekends, and I was working for Sunday Night Football, she'd come on whenever it was an Eagles Sunday Night Football game. And then one time, we were in Dallas, I remember, and she came up to me and she said, "Hey, Mark, I love coming on with you guys, but if you guys are going to rip me after we hang up, then I don't want to do it." And I was like, whoa, because all I had known from Angelo and Rhea and Al was that they loved having her on. And it was news to me that they ripped her. So what had happened was a PR person from the Eagles, I don't want to get into specifics there because the person's no longer around, came up to her and said, "Oh, yeah, great call, but after you hung up, they ripped you." And I said, "Andrea, I didn't hear the end of it, but I'll listen to it, and I will send you the clip because I'd be shocked if they ripped you." No ripping. No, nothing in jest, nothing that would be construed as even sarcastic, that was negative towards her. So they were just trying to stir the pot with us. Yeah. And I thought that was our job. But that was one time. But as far as that Eskin story went, here's the things that don't shock me. It doesn't shock me that he would get a text. It doesn't shock me at all that he get a text or whatever from Jeffrey Lurie or either somebody high up in the Eagles office. It doesn't shock me that he would yell at anybody. It would shock me that he would ever grab someone. So that's the part of the story I went, I don't know if that's exactly how, and I wasn't there, but I'm just saying of reading the story, knowing the people involved, being around them for 13 plus years. The only thing that comes out to me that seems like, I don't know if that's how it went down was the grabbing part. Everything else, the yelling, the text message, get him off the air, whatever, all that stuff adds up to me. And again, I wasn't there, but the only thing that made me go, I don't know about that was the grabbing issue of it. I don't doubt there was a tap or a touch of some or contact of some sort, but grabbing, I think paints a.
Angelo said it was more of a sense of urgency. He was trying to get her like attention that the owner wanted him to get off the air because of what he was saying.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, and then my point was to him, I went like this, Mark, I go, so then why would WIP, after they took that whole shit in the face from the Phillies situation, why would they just turn around and run him over twice?
I think it was a last straw type of thing.
Okay.
I think it was, you're already on thin ice. It's breaking.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Sealskin.
He was probably on probation from that thing.
Yeah. I mean, either way, you're still in the shadow of it. So best possible behavior. And unfortunately, that's not the way it played out. And I got along with Howard when I was there. Like I said, I was his producer for a year and a half. I would see him occasionally ever since I left WIP. It was all pleasant. I've been on the receiving end of yelling from Howard as a producer. But I've never, in all my years around him, I've never seen him physically, angrily grab anyone. So yelling, I've seen. The physical stuff, I've never seen.
Do you believe the story that AJ and Hurts now have a? Now
yes.
look, when people have a working relationship, but here, I said this. Someone goes, "Sills, you're trying to." I go, "You think Brady and Belichick were having drinks after at the social club or at the?" Sorry, I meant country club. I don't know what. Two Italian talking here. I don't know why I said. I apologize on the social club. I didn't want to stereotype anybody here. Yeah. So I meant country club. Okay, you don't see those two guys hanging out at a country club, but they worked and won 6 Super Bowls. You know what I mean?
Yeah, here, look, I just watched, and I'm way late to the party on this, but I just watched a little while ago, the 2 Bills. The story, what is it? The story of the 2 Bills, the 30 for 30 on Parcells. Yeah, it's fantastic. And what I got from that is those are 2 guys that respected one another. They in the episode or in the show, they even talk about, a love for one another. But these are 2 guys that didn't hate one another at all, but they still didn't talk for like 5-6 years. It wasn't angry. It wasn't like, I really hate that guy, and that's why they're not talking. They just didn't have that kind of a relationship. But if they were in the same room, if they sat down, or they later played a round of golf, they'd have a good time. That's a working relationship. That's fine. The only relationship I give a damn about is the relationship that makes them better together on the football field. And I know that's not sexy, and in Nick Sirianni's words, that's boring, whatever. But for me, what makes me curious, is, wait, why? Because I thought you guys were boys. I thought you guys were FaceTiming each other when the trade happened and how excited you guys were to be on the same team. And now it's fractured in some way, shape, or form. That seems very odd to me. Last year, going to like a UFC event together, I think down Atlantic City, being together there, like what happened? Like that's odd to me. But if they're able to figure it out on the football field, then that's all good. And also, let's not forget, I think we're still dealing with an owner that would look back to the T.O. and Donovan situation and go, I never want that to happen again. And it's, look, if Brandon Graham's putting it out there that they're not as close as they used to be, which I don't think Brandon Graham was just throwing it out there. I think they're being honest when it comes to Brandon Graham's comment. And I think they're being honest when it comes to the retorts from both A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts when they said, we're cool. I believe they're cool. I don't believe they're boys anymore, which is fine. As long as you're having him have 1,000 yards and scoring touchdowns and getting first downs and all that, as long as that's simpatico, that's all we really care about. But I think Jeffrey Lurie is still scarred from the T.O. Donovan thing. And any hint that those two aren't as close as they used to be will just start the media sensation. It would just start people talking, and it would lead to speculation. It would lead to people putting words in their mouth. So that is something that I think Jeffrey Lurie wanted to squash. Whereas if they're not as close, fine. Tell me why. I'd love to know why. But as long as they're bearing fruit on the football field, that's all anybody really cares about.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a little Sileo radio here, and which is usually sensationalism. So just so we keep it fair here, do you think that Saquon Barkley has gotten in the way of that relationship between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts to the extent, what I mean, business-wise, okay, they're winning football games Barkley's way. They're not winning football games A.J.'s way. I mean, they're winning it running the football. That's not what you paid for. You paid for 2 receivers at $51 million, a quarterback at $50. Hell, you can even drop the tight end at $15 million. That's quite a bit of money not to look what they look like this year. I mean, they resemble nothing how they constructed this football team. And if you're getting far less touches, and I'm going to add this component in. So AJ had a knee issue today. He wasn't out there on the practice field. I say that this style of play reminds him a little bit of what he did in Tennessee when he was blocking downfield for Derrick Henry. He doesn't want to go back to 65 catches blocking downfield. He wants to win games his way. Now, am I seeing it through a crazy kaleidoscope here? Or do you see some context to that, hey, AJ wants to win ball games, but he wants to do it AJ's way. And Barkley has been the pro in the building. He hasn't said shit. He's just been back here going, I don't know. I just gained 2,005 yards. Can you see it that way at all?
Yeah. I could certainly see why you would think that. I've thought it myself throughout the season because wide receivers want to do everything they can to help the team win. If that is true, then both Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are doing a phenomenal job for the most part of covering it up because they're going out of their way. Like a lot of times, like I do a segment on my show where I talk about like, well, what's he going to say, you know? And if you go overboard, I tend to believe you more. If you say the coach speak of, hey, if A.J. Brown after the Ravens game, for instance, came out and said, well, he's playing like the best back in the league and, you know, you got to do whatever it takes to win. And then just cut it off as that, I'd look at him and be like, I don't believe you. But if he's telling you about how he's literally going up to Saquon Barkley in the fourth quarter and be like, time to take the cape out, time to put your cape on, time to come out here and feed Superman, and Devontae Smith is saying the same thing, I'm like, well, these guys are loving it because they're winning. And yes, you want to get yours, you want to get your touches, and you want to get your catches and your touchdowns and your yards and your incentives and all that. But you also want to win a Super Bowl. And when the Eagles signed Saquon Barkley, again, it's one of those things I just stared at my phone like a confused dog, like with my head sideways, that I couldn't believe they actually signed a running back of this caliber. I knew he was going to become the star of the show because you were putting one of the best running backs in the NFL behind one of the best offensive lines, if not the best offensive line in football. The only question was whether or not Cam Jurgens was going to be like another Jason Kelce, and here he is 1 year into it, a Pro Bowler. And it was exactly that. It was the most dominant force in the NFL. You're not going to just spread the ball around for the sake of spreading the ball around. When it's crunch time, you give the ball to Superman, like A.J. Brown said, like Devontae Smith said, and you let Superman be the star of the show. And they got a couple of Batmans out there, and that's no reference. I mean that totally separate from the skinny Batman, fat Batman, swole Batman, whatever. You got Superman in the backfield. Give him the football and let him do his thing. And that's been the star of the show for the Eagles this year. And AJ's still gotten his. Devontae, not so much, unfortunately. But when it comes to Saquon behind this offensive line, how do you not continue to go to that well?
Mark, let me move on with this. I do not believe you can be a champion and strive to be a champion when you feel like it, when it's convenient. I think you have to act like a champion, practice like a champion, talk like one. And I think you have to do things that push things, and you have to keep your foot on the gas pedal. That's what I see what's going on up in Detroit with Dan Campbell. I mean, he didn't have to play that Monday Night Football game against the Niners. There was no redeeming thing that they could except beat them on unfinished business from a year ago. I think that's a mindset. When they didn't go for that 2105, and they didn't go for that, and they said, well, you know, we're afraid of injury. We're playing from a place of, I don't want anybody. Now, to their point, all 22 that were in September are starting in this game on Sunday. So kudos to that, because that resembles a little bit what they did in 22 in the Super Bowl when all 22 started, where they got. I thought that, why can't you have everything? I mean, why can't you? Isn't 2105 part of the journey? Isn't that what's going to separate you? Would you not agree, covering the Eagles all your years? The most accomplished team is the 17 team. The most remembered team are the buddy teams.
You can still easily say they're the most beloved teams, those Buddy Ryan teams.
That 2105 wouldn't, if you put a Super Bowl on that, doesn't that put you in a different room?
Absolutely.
If you win the Super Bowl and you have the all-time leading rusher of all time, doesn't that make that the greatest Eagle team of all time?
Yeah, let's think about it like this. Nick Foles, 7 touchdowns in one game. Reggie White had the sack record, right? That's pretty special. Those are pretty special things, but
they won the Triple Crown in defense in 91 or 2, I think it was, where they were best across the board.
Right. Those are special things. The all-time rushing record, I mean, I think about it like this. It's a 40-year record. When I think of like all-time historic records in sports, I think one of the first things you think of is like the home run record in baseball, right?
Yeah.
It was what? It was like 37 years from Ruth to Maris.
Yeah.
It was a little bit more than that for, it was like, 40-some years for Maris to McGuire, right?
Yeah.
This is 40 years of that rushing record standing.
Yeah. Agreed.
And Saquon has a chance to break it. In a day and age where you can put assistants in the Hall of Fame, 2,000-yard rusher, won a 9 in the history to do it, and Jeff Stoutland to be the offensive line coach and run game coordinator. That's a huge feather in his cap. That's a Hall of Fame bid right there. The Hall of Famers, he looks like he could certainly be churning out from this offensive line. That's something that is absolutely going in his favor. But I think the rushing record would be the final stamp in the argument of putting Jeff Stoutland in the Hall of Fame, and later maybe even Saquon Barkley. But I believe, and as the season went on, I'm thinking, if that game doesn't matter, you're not playing him. I wouldn't play him. Nick Sirianni shouldn't play him. Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman shouldn't play him, But as they got closer and closer, I was just like, to hell with it. You put him out there, man. You play him. You got to play. Because, could you argue, obviously, you use the word scared, playing scared? You certainly could. But why not be greedy, man? You needed 101 yards to be the all-time leading rusher of a single season, and you could do it while still winning the Super Bowl. Like, that is one hell of a year, all right? Get greedy. Go after it. After the game where he got to over 2,000 yards, they went to Lane Johnson in the locker room, and Lane Johnson made it seem like they had already had the conversation about whether or not Saquon Barkley was going to play. They went to Lane and be like, we got 2,000, so I think I'm going to take next week off. It was like, what about the all-time record? And I loved Jordan Mailata's comments. He's become one of my favorite talkers this year. Jordan Mailata's comments leading up to, or right after the decision was made and announced officially that Saquon wasn't going to play. Jordan Mailata, they're talking to him about it, and he goes, well, tough decisions, but it sucks. And I went, my man, that guy's got the right attitude, because Jordan Mailata wants that too. Jordan, oh man, think about that. If Saquon Barkley gets the all-time rushing record, versus the Giants, there's no way Jordan Mailata isn't getting into the Pro Bowl. That's the only excuse you have to put like 4 of the 5 offensive linemen in the Pro Bowl, with the only guy being the odd man out of Mekhi Becton, who's been great this year as well. But I think that's the only way that you couldn't say you had Eagles O-line fatigue when it came to voting for the Pro Bowl. But to get that all-time record, that's history. That's history. And I forget who it was. Maybe it was Jeff Saturday. I caught him saying it on ESPN. It's like, who won the Super Bowl in 1984? Don't remember, but I know Eric Dickerson got the rushing record in 1984. So
that's right. Talk
about making that history. I don't know if 84, I'm going to say it was the 49ers. I could be wrong.
It is. But okay. I would against the Dolphins. I would say this to you though. I know, dude. Don't. I mean, between the basketball, baseball,
Miss Guzzi.
Stupid stuff that I know. You know what? I would be so great at a party if you were playing Trivial Pursuit sports. But most of the time, I'm playing with people who work at a library if I'm doing that, and I don't want to be in that room. So anyway, I'm glad to hear you say that here. All right, Sunday's game. Are you concerned about the rust of Hurts having not played 3 weeks now? I mean, are you concerned about that?
Usually I get called a fanboy in saying that, oh, why would you be concerned about the rust? I'm not concerned about the rust, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, hell yeah, I'm concerned about the rust. You have to be nuts not to be concerned about the rust. What are we talking about here? This is a team that, 5 weeks ago against the Panthers, literally had a passing game atrophy, as one reporter put it, and I thought that's the best way to describe it. You literally had, after the game, your quarterback saying that you weren't in sync. You had a wide receiver that is supposedly not as close with as you used to be, and A.J. Brown said, hey, what do you need to work on in this offense? Passing. Just like that. And then I went back and looked at the film of that Panthers game. So I don't know if you watched any of the film, but my God, it was terrible.
I watched 22.
You have, on one play, you have a quarterback. You have Jalen Hurts pre-snap signaling to Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith's like, huh? And he signals to him again, snaps the ball. He rocks back, sees nothing from Devontae, takes off up the middle. And then him and Devontae, when Jalen gets off the ground from sliding, thank God he did on that play, from sliding, him and Devontae are looking at each other like, what did you just do? What did you just do? Like mass confusion. I'm seeing an offensive line shift completely away from their quarterback and not a blocking scheme. Like they didn't know the play. Then I hear Jordan Mailata, again, one of my favorite talkers this year, say after the game, there were some plays where we didn't know what we were doing as an offensive line. And I'm like, okay, it's not just Jalen. It's communication with his wide receiver. I have Jalen Hurts on one play. I see him rolling out of the pocket, escaping to his left, actually. And instead of breaking with him, A.J. Brown breaks away from him. So he's no longer a target, like to help get out of that situation. So, and then there was another play where Jalen just took this awful intentional grounding penalty, and he rolled to his right, I think 12 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It was insane. It was just completely out of sync. So you mean to tell me that after that Panthers game, where things atrophied as a passing game, they have one good game against the Steelers, and then Jalen Hurts throws 4 passes for the rest of the year with 1 completion, and everything's supposed to be hunky-dory against a Packers team that's coming in here that has a guy like Xavier McKinney lurking in the secondary? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm expecting some rust. That does worry me. Also, the fact that it's only a 4.5-point line in the Eagles' favor at home is scary. The Packers were favored by 7, or excuse me, the Cowboys were favored by 7.5 at home against the Packers last year, and the Packers, as we remember how that went, they took it to them with a phenomenal game plan. But you can't tell me that everybody talks 4 games ago about rust, about a passing game that's atrophied, about a passing game that's not in sync. You can't tell me that one game solved all those problems, and then 3 weeks removed, your quarterback doesn't play, except for 11 snaps, throwing 4 passes with 1 completion. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and assume. Also, in those 3 weeks, dealing with a concussion.
Right.
You mean to tell me that he's just going to come back and be wonderful? Those are rose-colored glasses. There's absolutely going to be. I hope there's not, but I would bet on rust being a factor, at least in the first half of this game.
I got 2 last ones here for you. Since you just brought that up, so if you're Kellen Moore, you had a guy in concussion protocol for 2 weeks. Doesn't the style of play change then? Because I'll tell you what, if you start running that guy 14, 15 carries, I'm not going to believe that damn protocol anymore, man. Guy coming out of 2 weeks of concussion. This guy's wearing glasses like he's Elvis. I mean, come on, dog. I mean, sunlight's hurting his ass. He can't get in the facility. I mean, are you really going to run him tush pushes, and you're really going to run him physical style after coming out of that concussion protocol? I mean, Mark, does it change the style of play a little bit?
I think it has to, and obviously with Tanner McKee, you're going to have a different offense, and the offense did look different, a lot different.
Look at that. He didn't want to say offensive passing game looked better. Okay, all right. I thought it looked better. Are you kidding me? Tanner Manning, he looked great in that game.
Well, look, it certainly looked different. I mean, the first touchdown pass to Aniyah Smith on their first possession, Tanner McKee fakes the handoff, does a triple sow cow, and then eyes down the field, reverses side, and then bang down the field for a touchdown. Like, I forget about the execution of it. Like, I'd never seen that play. Like, I've never seen that used. I've never seen Jalen Hurts do that. And I'm not saying that, Tanner McKee should be starting the game. I'm not saying that.
Either.
In your words of, is it different? And your question of is it different? It looked a lot different with Tanner McKee. Was that a trial run to get some of those plays in? So at least you'd put it on film. Jalen can see it actually executed on the field before he goes out and does it. I don't know. But it would behoove the Eagles to certainly count on Jalen Hurts running the football less. And look, I don't need him to try to break off a 22-yard run. You have Saquon Barkley behind this offensive line. All I need him to do is make the edge rusher think twice about tackling Saquon Barkley. That's it. Because whether it was Kenny Pickett and rarely if it was Tanner McKee, you had an edge rusher coming off the edge that was just going right after Saquon. There was one instance in particular, I think a third and goal from the 1 or third and goal from the 4 maybe, where Kenny Pickett put the ball in the belly of Saquon Barkley and the edge rusher just went right to Saquon and took him for a loss. Like, he's not giving any respect to Kenny Pickett being able to run the football. And I understand why, because he ain't Jalen Hurts. But all Jalen Hurts has to do is make that edge rusher, as you know, plant for a split second, assess the situation, and then eventually go after whoever the ball carrier is. But that half a second is one more step or half a step for Saquon Barkley to gain and get to the line of scrimmage and then hopefully break through for a touchdown. It didn't exist without Jalen Hurts. And then you're talking about also this. You're talking about Jalen Hurts when he's in the game with Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is averaging 6 yards per carry. When Jalen Hurts is not on the field with Saquon Barkley, is averaging 5 yards per carry, which is still pretty good, but it's a yard difference. And that yard can matter, for instance, at the goal line. The one thing that I would like the Eagles to not do as much, if there is a first and goal from the 1, that type of situation where Saquon, like he did, 12, 13 different times this season, gets stopped at the 1 yard line miraculously. Give Saquon one attempt. Don't do the tush push in that scenario. If you got to do it on a 4th and 1 from midfield late in the game, fine, do it. And I know he hasn't been hurt doing the tush push. It's been when he scrambles outside the pocket and tries to get big gains. That's when he's been hurt, both against the Bears, 2 years ago, and this year when he scrambled out of the pocket there against the Commanders. Don't do the tush push as little as we could put Jalen Hurts in peril. Let's do that. If we can rely on other people, let's rely on other people. You know, like Saquon Barkley behind this offensive line. That's a part of the game plan that I would like to see changed in the event that Jalen comes back and is a little rusty. That's the part of the game plan that I like to see adjusted a little bit upon his return.
Finally, I've been kind of hammering on this. Now, hey, Xander, do me a favor. I need to find out what the passing numbers were for the St. Joe's Prep guy there in high school, because I'm sure it was more than 2903.
Xander, stop cleaning. Xander, stop cleaning your new Kango hat and see if you can find the. When did that start? I don't know, man. Since he started giving shit away on the show, man, he started wearing the Kango, the Rue hat there. What do you make of that, though? I mean, you know, Kellen Moore did not improve the passing game whatsoever. They're 30th in passing, and in 15 games, he goes for 2903 and 18 touchdowns. I mean, if you're going to pay a guy $50 million, someone turn around and go, Sills, he's 14-3. Okay, well, it ain't because of him. It's because, and I agree with you 100%, Mark. Barkley does not get 2105 without Hurts in the huddle. He just does not, because he brings that one-of dynamic to the room here. But, man, 2903, that's not a modern day. That's Bob Greasy shit. Okay? we're not talking about, I mean, that's not a prolific dude in the pocket. You know, we saw it all year. It was so inconsistent. Yeah. Am I leading a witness, Your Honor? But, I mean, tell me, is it? You have my range.
I'm dragging you into the well with me.
You have my range.
I guess I'm trying to make you drown with me. I'm drowning you with me. We're out there on Long Island Sound, and I'm trying to bring your ass down with me. I mean, I don't know, man. Tell me what you make of that, because it really, I mean, Kellen and him and the passing game, I just didn't see it this year.
Look, I don't know if it's because it's following the Carson Wentz act, but one of the things I've loved about Jalen Hurts is just mental toughness. Like, I've absolutely loved that about his game and his approach to playing the game. It's become cliche. It's been snickered at. It's been jeered and all that. The main thing is the main thing. And the main thing, of course, is winning. And the main thing of the main thing is winning the Super Bowl. Jalen doesn't care if he throws 10 passes a game, if they're, really go back to the way back machine with 10 passes a game, but he doesn't care if it's 15 passes, 20 passes, whatever it is. If they're winning and they're winning with Saquon Barkley being dominant, so be it. The thing that I loved about the Steelers game is that people really started to get on the Jalen Hurts isn't that good train and all that stuff. The Steelers game, what was so interesting to me about that is that Jalen Hurts literally in that game said, go, gadget passing game, and it went. And 290, he was really good. Even the game against the Panthers that I was referencing earlier, he had 2 passing touchdowns in that game and a rushing touchdown. So the game that he sucked the most this season, he had 3 touchdowns. I really respect his appreciation for winning more than anything, more than his stats and all that. Jalen's ability, for me, watching him this year, his ability hasn't taken a hit. He can still do all the things he did in 2022. He can do the things that he did in the beginning of 2023, or excuse me, the beginning of 2023, 2024. All that stuff is coming together. It's still there. But I liken it to, you have Saquon Barkley as a sword, and then Jalen Hurts can be a dagger. If you're going into war, I think we're all grabbing the sword. But the dagger doesn't suck, okay? Just because Saquon is so good, historically good, has not depreciated my opinion of Jalen Hurts, nor do I think it's depreciated his own ability. Has the offense at times gotten stagnant this year in terms of the passing game? Absolutely, because, quite frankly, they just haven't done it as much. The fact that they did it against the Pittsburgh Steelers after a week of realizing, all right, let's get this, let's put the quarterback in the passing game machine, and let's make this happen, that made me feel a lot better. But what makes me go back to that Panthers game feeling is that it's been 3 weeks. It's been 4 passes over that time, and it's been a concussion sustained. So that's what has me concerned. As far as Jalen's performance, though, I don't think he has gotten any. Look at his passing numbers this year. You're talking about completion percentage, the best. You're talking about yards per attempt, the best in his career. Match that's the best in his career. Passer rating, and I know he's done it fewer than anybody, but still the highest passer rating of his career. So to me, he hasn't gotten worse. There has been a better thing to use in this Eagles offense. And because that's better, that doesn't make me think that Jalen Hurts is any worse.
I just got a text message, and I love that, right? You just said, I just got a text message from my wife. Now, I want you to help me out on something here.
All right.
I'm gonna have a tray later on tonight. Are you a Galamad or are you a Brigitte? Because we're gonna get these cookies, and I just told her garlic cookies. I like the garlic little wafer things. You bring those.
Oh, really?
So would you do more Galamad or would you do more prosciutto?
Is it just you and your wife? Is it
my
company?
wife,
Are you having company?
My kid my little puppy likes prosciutto too a lot, but my daughter does too.
I would do prosciutto. I would do prosciutto. Oh, actually, hold on.
Should I do a combo of it?
Hold on a second. Do you have 20 seconds?
Yeah, please.
All right, just count to 20.
Okay, 19, 18. Yeah, I'm telling them. I'm like, hold on for a second. Hang on, honey. She's at the Italian counter right now, so I got to figure this out here. Yale says both. Holy Madonna me! Holy, oh, whoa!
So this is a little prosciutto I had for the holiday.
Shit!
And we got.
Hold on, Mark. Hold on. I want to take a picture. I got to show my wife that. Holy.
Funny you bring up prosciutto.
Oh my God, that is so. Hold that sucker.
No, you're not supposed to wrap this, but I know I'm not going to eat it all for a while. So
that is fabulous.
This.
Where'd you get that? Italian Market, Philly?
Yeah, down 9th Street. Yeah.
Wow,
it was lit.
How long does it take you to go through? How long does it take your family to go through that?
I can probably I'll have this probably for Easter. I'll probably still have it for Easter. So I had it for, what did I have it for? Thanksgiving.
$300 for that?
It was like $150. It wasn't that bad. Yeah. But I know a guy. I got a discount. Yeah, we had it for Thanksgiving. We'll have it again for my Christmas. Got messed up. We didn't do 7 fish this year because my son, he's fine now. Everything's fine, but he had a fever, so we couldn't have people over the house. So everything's fine now. Everything's great. Thank you. But Christmas Day, I was going to bring that over to my brother-in-law's, so that was going to be another chunk out of it. But I like the prosciutto. I always do the mozzarella with a little olive oil drizzle.
Yeah.
And then what I like to do is have a nice baguette with sliced really thin to make crostini.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you could
yeah.
have crostini, and you put the the mozzarella and the prosciutto on top of a little olive oil, and wow, you're good to go.
Yeah,
So
for you white guys, you guys usually eat ham and bologna.
Yeah, right.
Ham and bologna and that American cheese. My grandma never called it Italian cheese. Whatever you want. Wonder Bread in my house was called American bread. It wasn't called Wonder Bread. It was called American bread because my grandma would make her own bread. We did. My folks spoke Italian half the time. I mean, 50% of the time they spoke Italian. I mean, I grew up in a real giddy gumba place, man. I mean, yeah, go get some American bread. Wonder Bread?
The stuff that's like a sponge.
Oh yeah, I don't ever remember my grandpa eating American bread because I'm not eating that. What are you kidding me? Look at that thing here. What are you kidding me? What do we look like here? Oh, no, we always had Italian loaves. Hey man, thank you so much. Hey, by the way, they win, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, they win. Sorry, yeah, we never even got to that.
What are you doing?
We were a little distracted. I have the Eagle as of right now, assuming everything's still fine with Hurts, elbow injury with Jordan Love. They're banged up. They don't. AJ Brown, knee injury. He's expected to play. They obviously don't have Christian Watson on the other side of the field. For me, I still see the Eagles winning this game, like 27-14, 27-17. I'm still in that range. Also, something interesting. Brandon McManus, former Temple kicker, is well familiar with Lincoln Financial Field. He's now the kicker, obviously, of Green Bay. So I don't expect that to be a thing if they have to use him. He knows how to kick at Lincoln Financial Field, that's for sure, as a fellow Temple grad. But yeah, Eagles I see winning this game around 27-17 is around where I'm at right now.
Mark, I can't let you go talking Temple hanging without saying this. They should have hired Doug Peterson. And I'll tell you why.
Wow.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Okay. Well, shit, if North Carolina, you want to make that program relevant in Philly, hire the most revered coach in the history of Philadelphia and make that thing where I want to go watch it. Instead, you know where you're going to be in 3 years at Temple? You're going to be in the same stupid position you're in now, firing another guy because they don't put the money in that goddamn program. Mark, I mean, they don't put them. And you know what? In Philly, in that hub of New Jersey, Philadelphia, Cherry Hill, Pennsauken, Ohio, that whole region in there, New England, how are you not a 9-win team every season and not winning ball games? You know why? You don't put money in that stupid program. That thing should be winning. Or cancel it and put all the money in, beat Gonzaga and put all the money into your hoop program. You can't have both. And if you were going to do anything, you were needed to hire and make something happen where people would want to go to it.
All right. This is going to sound bad. I'm a Temple guy, Temple grad, Temple made, all that jazz. Okay. Would Doug Peterson take that gig?
No. Is Doug going to be a head coach anytime soon?
No, I don't think he is, but
he's probably going back to Kansas City. And he's probably going to be the OC if that Matt Nagy ends up going somewhere else or they replace him. You could see him. God, Doug Peterson, Andy Reid, and Steve Spagnuolo in one room. That's scary. But no, would he have taken that? No, but what you could have done too? No, Matt Nagy interviewed for that Jags job. You know what you could have done? No, you could have promoted it like Temple's taking big swings.
Yeah, just put it out there that you tried to get Doug Peterson.
I mean,
I love it. I love it. I want that story.
But Temple should be bigger than it is in Philly. It should. I'm not saying you're going to be. Dude, Rutgers can't be a bigger talking point than Temple in Philly.
Yeah, it's funny with the Notre Dame and Penn State game coming up and all that stuff. Al Golden's name has been mentioned a lot recently. So I go back to those days where Al Golden came in.
He destroyed my program.
I know he did. I'm sorry to bring him up, but he built Temple's program and made him relevant. And then he was gone before we could blink. And then obviously Adazio and then Rule. And we thought things were going to be trending in the right direction for Temple. And then obviously they weren't. But yeah, I would love to have the I almost called them the Eagles, the Owls linked to Doug Peterson in some way, shape, or form. But to your point, I don't know if Brad Childress is still there with Kansas City. He had some title like passing game coordinator or consultant or something. I wouldn't be shocked if Doug Peterson did something along those lines.
Or
I don't.
Somebody like a Brian Westbrook, like you're seeing all these people do with Vic getting a Norfolk State job, or you're seeing Deshaun Jackson now getting an opportunity to coach too. Why not do something like that? I mean, even Villanova football, ask Westbrook to do it. Shit, I mean, in my opinion, make college football in that city should be something instead of a nothing burger.
Yeah, we are such a 4-for-4 town.
Oh, totally.
It's a funny thing because the other thing is
Nova Hoop is a thing, and St. Joe's Hoop's a thing.
Oh, I'll say this: Nova's dead to me now. Nova Hoops is dead to me. And when they tweeted out,
what's his name?
When they tweeted out the celebration of their Villanova guys beating the Sixers, I'm like, you can't be a Philly school and spike the proverbial football at beating the Sixers. Like, I don't give a damn that they were Villanova guys. Like, that's and that's not even like when I was at Temple, hated Villanova.
New York thing.
Exactly. When I was at Temple, I hated Villanova. And then I graduated. And then maybe part of it's being in the media and getting to know the coaches a little bit and seeing how much those coaches really love and support one another. I was like, oh, the brotherhood of the Big Five is a beautiful thing. And I believe that literally up until this past NBA playoff run where the Sixers got bounced out against the Knicks. And then Villanova went like, yeah, great job, Villanova. And I'm like, you're out. No longer will I argue that it's part of the Big Five, that it's part of the city. I'm out on Nova. Ever since that one tweet, that one little post on X'd them out of my life forever. Not that I was ever a big Villanova guy, but you know what I mean.
See what happens when you're Italian, man? You're dead to me. You see, he just didn't say I'm not doing. That's a very Paisan thing right there. You're dead to me, okay? You're dead to me.
Marc Ferrante, the head coach of Villanova football, that's my man. That's my man right there. I like Villanova football, but Villanova basketball can get out of here.
Farsi, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for spending so much time with the Bajoot. Look at that.
I'm gonna go have a snack. See you, buddy.
Wait to show my wife. Hey, watch this. I want one of those. I'm gonna get me one of those, man. I'm gonna get me one. Thank you so much, Farsi.
Just be sure to drink your water, hydrate. There's a lot of salt in here.
Every time I eat prosciutto, I wake up in the morning, I go, why is that? I got it. Thank you, brother.
See you, man. Take it easy.
You got it. That is Marc Farzetta. Make sure you check his show out, too. He kicks off our broadcast here on JAKIB Sports each and every single morning right before Birds 365. I appreciate it. Guys, do me a favor. Please make sure you hit the like button here. We'll talk a little bit about Notre Dame and Penn State. I got something to say about because I think Franklin actually had a winning take here. Don't forget our great relationship that we've hooked up with our friends at BetUS. Here at JAKIB Sports, especially with tonight's playoff game, you got the playoffs this weekend in the NFL on Saturday and Sunday. You've got the national championship right around the corner. We've teamed up with those guys, and you get a chance to take a shot at the YouTube 150. That's right. YouTube 150 is up to $2K in sign-in bonus, and if you're there for your second and third sign-up, you get an opportunity of getting it at 125%. Michael Vick, I mentioned him. This is the home of Michael Vick there. You're into crypto, 200% up to that 2K is there for you and your sign-in bonus as well. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year, live wagering on all major games. That's betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor, tell them Big Sills sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.